This is Sam Gold from NFLBreakdowns.com, and welcome to my brand new channel. In my first breakdown, I took a look at Jordan Reed's 2015 season, in which he was targeted a total of 114 times, and he caught 87 of those passes for 952 yards and 11 touchdowns. The first play we'll look at was Jordan Reed's first touchdown versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Week 7. Lining up in shotgun with Reed split out wide left, Cousins sees one safety in the end zone, with all the cornerbacks in man-to-man coverage across the field. Washington runs a clear and slant on the left side of the field. Running back Matt Jones is in the slot, and Reed's slant route finds the gap that his seam clears for him. Cousins throws a tight pass, and Reed is able to grab it out of the air for the score. To prepare for this breakdown, I took a look at all of Jordan Reed's targets from 2015, including the playoffs, and I tracked them based on location, type of route, and situation to see the trends of how the Washington Redskins use Jordan Reed and their West Coast offense. The first thing that immediately stood out was Reed's ability to create separation at the top of his routes. It's third down, and Reed lines up in the inside right slot on the line of scrimmage. He runs a pivot route, which is designed to look like a drag route, but instead of continuing on a low crosser, Reed plants his foot, sinks his hips, and drives in the opposite direction. This completely fools the linebacker, who slips out of his brakes, allowing Reed to instantly get open. After Reed catches the pass and runs to his right, he suddenly stops again to shake the same linebacker who is pursuing him. He then works his way up the field for a 10-yard gain. Against the Bears, Reed drives towards the outside cornerback, winding him past the numbers before cutting back inside on his post route. He extends his arms to bring in the pass and fights his way to the goal line. This play was initially ruled a touchdown, but it was reversed and placed back on the 1-yard line. The Redskins actually did score on the very next play with running back Alfred Morris. After Reed gets the ball in his hands, he's a natural. On 3rd and 3 in the third quarter versus the Rams, Washington runs a curl-flat combination designed to horizontally stretch the defense. Reed catches the pass and slips the tackle of TJ McDonald before escaping up the sideline for an 11-yard gain. In the playoffs versus the Green Bay Packers, Kirk Cousins runs a play-action bootleg from under center. It's a 3-level flood concept where Reed finds the gap between the cover 3 secondary and the 4 underneath linebacker zones. Casey Hayward shoulder tackles him, but Reed is way too big and strong to be taken down by that hit. He bounces off of him and stays on his feet for another 7 yards. Reed is definitely not Gronkowski in that sense, but he's a mismatch to most of the cornerbacks in the NFL due to his speed and size. This play-action bootleg play was a large part of Washington's game plan this season, and Reed typically ran the flat route from the backfield the vast majority of the time as a speed outlet for Cousins. In my tracking, Reed ran a flat or a quick out route to the sideline 35 of his 131 targets, including the playoffs. The quick hitch was his second most frequent route, running it 17 times, while the slant was his third most frequent route, running it 15 times out of his targets. Even though these 3 short routes represented roughly half of his targets, it came as a surprise to me that 85 of Reed's targets were actually within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. Of these 85, 70 were outside the hash marks. His slant route is extremely deceptive, and when Washington paired Deshaun Jackson or another wide receiver in front of him in a twin stack formation to clear space for him, this helped Washington collect first downs down the field. Reed was the most targeted Washington receiver in 2015, even though he missed 2 games. With 131 targets, you have to wonder how many were dropped and how many of those passes were forced to him under pressure, since Kirk Cousins trusted him so much to get open. In 2015, I counted 3 drops in Jordan Reed's 131 targets. This is incredibly efficient, seeing as Kirk Cousins' accuracy was honestly suspect for most of the season. These plays show how Reed uses full 33-inch arm extension to stretch outside his frame to bring the ball down even in contested situations. With how good of a receiving tight end Jordan Reed is, defenses had a scheme to take away his abilities on the field. There were times when teams would double cover him in man coverage and would also use a hook seam linebacker to trail him with a bracket safety coverage over the top, like the Cowboys did. The Packers in the playoffs, for example, dedicated free safety Micah Hyde to cover him. While it did work sometimes, using a dedicated player in this role takes away from a defensive coordinator's flexibility on the field, and it opens up other opportunities for other receivers. This can be seen against the Cowboys, where Reed drew double coverage on a 3rd and 5 play to prevent him from gaining the first down. Pierre Garçon was able to get open on the post route to convert the play anyways, while drawing face mask penalty at the end to benefit the team even more. Speaking of first downs, Reed led the team with 54 first downs and was 14th overall in the NFL in this metric according to SportingCharts.com. Since being selected in the third round of the 2013 NFL Draft out of Florida, Jordan Reed has not started a full season due to injuries. In his first 3 seasons, Reed has missed a total of 14 games. In 2015, Reed missed 2 games due to a concussion he received during the Eagles match in Week 4, and he was sidelined until Week 7 versus the Buccaneers. Outside of injuries, Reed has 2 major problems on the field. The first is penalties. Reed was flagged 13 times, while 12 were actually accepted for over 100 yards. According to NFLpenalties.com, he was the 6th most penalized player in the NFL and the most penalized non-offensive lineman on the offensive side of the football. Of those penalties, he had 6 holding calls, 4 offensive pass interference calls, 2 false starts, and 1 illegal touching where he stepped out of bounds and then he caught the football by the sideline. Reed's second major weakness is that he's a poor run blocker. While Reed is a great receiving tight end, he drastically needs to improve his run blocking ability. Pro Football Focus actually graded Reed as the 3rd worst tight end in this category, only ahead of Owen Daniels from Denver and Greg Olsen from Carolina. With Niles Paul returning to the lineup after fracturing his ankle last season, and with the signing of Vernon Davis to a 1-year, $2.4 million deal, the Redskins will have a formidable tight end group useful for Bill Callahan's running scheme, who loves using multiple tight end packages. If you want to see a full breakdown of Vernon Davis's run blocking ability and what he brings to this team, plus a complete breakdown of Bill Callahan's run blocking scheme, check out my articles on NFLBreakdowns.com. Out of his targets, I found multiple missed opportunities where Kirk Cousins simply under or overthrew the pass. Some of those were under duress to be fair, but many were simply Kirk Cousins' fault. Take this streak route up the left sideline versus the New York Giants in Week 3. Reed gets an excellent outside release versus Landon Collins' press coverage. By the 20-yard line, Reed is already a full step ahead of him. Kirk Cousins simply leaves the ball short on this pass. Another 2 or 3 yards and this is an easy touchdown. Instead, Collins swipes down at the correct time and deflects the pass away from Reed. Later in the same game, Jordan Reed runs a corner route from the right inside slot with linebacker Jonathan Casillas in off-man coverage. This is an instant mismatch and Cousins sees it immediately. With 5 receivers split out wide, and the Giants bringing 6 to pressure Cousins, Landon Collins gets a free rush lane through the strong side B gap between rookie Brandon Scherff and second-year Morgan Moses. Cousins launches the pass anyways, and predictably leaves the ball short since he's throwing off his back foot. This play came on 3rd and 4 with the Redskins trailing 12-0 in the second quarter. With immediate pressure, the quarterback typically looks to their hot route or Jamison Crowder on the drag route in this situation. However, I don't blame Cousins one bit for going deep with an ideal matchup featuring Jordan Reed versus a linebacker. Jordan Reed signed a 5-year, $46.75 million contract with the Washington Redskins this offseason. This contract includes a $9 million signing bonus and $22 million guaranteed. If his production on the field is anything like it was in 2015, his 2016 outlook looks excellent. For my fantasy football friends out there, I would make sure you stash a backup tight end in the established chance that he'll miss time due to various injuries. Well everyone, that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown, and do me a favor and find me on Twitter @SamuelRGold, and also like and subscribe to my channel for my next breakdown.